Okay.
All right, hello everyone.
You're gonna have to speak up as loud as
Okay.
you can, Ben.
Right, so I'll try and be as loud and as obnoxious as possible. So thank you for inviting me, Joe. As a bit of background, back in December, Joe asked me to put together a guide for the iTalk about accessible tech Christmas gifts, and about 10 days later than I said I would do, I ended up sending it to her. She didn't learn, which is why I've found myself here doing this talk. There's a bit of duplication in this talk and the guide, so if you've heard this all before, you can have a snooze or something like that. So I'm here to talk about accessible TV, or specifically ways that you can make your existing TV accessible. And I've tried to do it in such a way that you will hopefully not end up spending an arm and a leg, particularly when you compare it to some of the costs of assistive technologies like screen readers. So I'm trying to do sort of accessible TV on a budget. So we're going to be going through a few different devices. The first thing I'd say is that if you want hands-on with any of these afterwards, come and find me during lunch. I've got all of the devices I'm going to be showing you in this talk with me. This is all live, and I've got a couple of other ones that we probably won't have time to show as well. So you can see if anything takes your fancy. The other thing to bear in mind is that because of time limits, this talk isn't really designed to tell you everything you need to know about every device I'm going to show you. What I'm hoping this will do is give you enough information to decide whether you might want to buy one of them or not. And then after that, you can go out and buy one yourself and you can learn about them. And for each device, I'll tell you roughly where you can get it and how much it will cost. One sort of final thing before we get started, I guess. We are going to be playing some clips from the internet. We're going to be playing some videos. So that means two things. First of all, the tech will most likely break at some point because that's just the way that it always works. And secondly, because the videos that we'll be watching will change every time, I have no idea what's going to come up. I've been purposefully choosing really boring sounding videos when I've been practicing this, but just in case, I'll apologise in advance if there's any colourful language at all. I'll do my best to make sure that doesn't happen. So yeah, accessible TV. Well, so some of you might have heard of the idea of sort of smart TV, or you might have heard of things like the Fire TV from Amazon or the Chromecast. Loads and loads of different names, of bits of tech you can buy. But the problem is how do you know whether any of it's accessible? Because they never mention it on the adverts, and when if you've ever been into a shop and asked about accessibility, let's be honest, the salesperson probably isn't going to know. They're not going to have a clue. So I'm going to show you all of these devices today. These devices don't really replace your TV. They all plug into your existing TV and let you do more things with it. So if you've heard of people talk about things like catch-up services, on-demand, streaming, I'm going to go through all of that and explain what it means. So first things first, I'm going to talk to you about the Chromecast from Google. This is an interesting one. This is essentially a circular piece of plastic, and as I say, you can have a go at it later if you like. It's it's a device that plugs into your TV and connects to your internet. And this one's a little bit different from all the other devices I'm going to show you. Every device other than this one actually has a built-in screen reader and magnification. However, this one's a little bit different. The Chromecast itself doesn't have any accessibility features. So you might be thinking, well, why am I showing you this? This is to talk about accessible TV. But the way that this works is you actually control it from your phone, your tablet, or your computer. So Well, let's go for a demo. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to show you a few different things you can do with each of these devices. I'm not going to show you everything you can do with all of them because there'd be quite a lot of duplication. But for this particular demo, I'm going to show you how you can watch catch up from Channel 4. So if there's a program you've missed, I'm going to show you how you can catch up on it. So this is where we find out what's going to break. So there's a bit of background. I've got my iPhone here. That's connected to a fairly sort of small speaker, and then the TV. For anyone who can't see, I've got a TV in front of me, and loads of wires that are one big health and safety risk behind me, with everything connected to it. So I'm going to quickly walk you through showing something on Channel 4. So the voice you'll hear will be my phone, and I'll try and describe what I'm doing as I do it. Again, this isn't meant to teach you how to use the Channel 4 app or anything like that. This is just to give you an idea of what sort of things you can do if you're interested in it. So,
press page 2 of 3.
Okay, so
all 4. Navigation bar menu items. Home selected.
Okay, so I've got the All 4 app open, and I'm going to swipe right and...
Task not connected state. Button.
Okay, so it's saying...
Actions available.
And that's always the fun when you're demoing speech, right? Because it always interrupts you. So I'm going to tap on this cast button, and that's what it's usually called. You know, when you send something to your TV using a Chromecast, they call it casting. So if you ever hear anyone talking about that, that's what it means.
Cast 2 heading.
So it's asking me where I want to send it.
Cancel button. Ben.
I'm going to choose my Chromecast, which I've imaginatively called Ben.
Channel 4 navigation bar menu items.
Okay,
Task session started.
And now it's telling me that it's connected. This is going a lot better than I thought it would do so far. This didn't work when I first set it up, by the way. So let's pick something to watch on Channel 4. So I'm going to go through this screen. We're on the home page, so it's going to give me some sort of highlights of Channel 4 that we can watch, and I'll pick one.
Task connected. Welcome to Channel 4. The Great Celebrity Bake Off. They are famous, sure, but can they cook? Ellipsis.
Okay, so we're going
to double tap to go to the Great Celebrity Bake Off page.
We're going to watch a bit of the Great Celebrity Bake Off. We're not going to watch a lot of it, don't worry. I'm just going to show you that it works.
Channel 4, the Great Celebrity Bake Off. Close button.
Okay, so I'm going to select an episode to watch.
The Great Bake Off returns for a celebrities actor led series next on TV episode download. Episode 2, Tuesday the 13th of March, 8 p.m. Duration 58 minutes. Nick Ewer, Stacey Solomon, Ricky Wilson and Perry Keeley, the celeb bakers tackle stones, a devilish technical, and a self-portrait croquembouche. Double tap to play.
So for anyone who didn't catch any of that, it's describing the episode to me, it's telling me when it was aired, and it's telling me that I can double tap to play.
Episode 2, Tuesday the 13th. Close button.
If you're looking for beautiful bespoke fitted wardrobes,
and there we go, so this is going through the TV now. You might be able to tell the sound's a little bit different. Because it's Channel 4, we're getting adverts, but it is playing. I'll just see if, sometimes they usually give you more, sometimes they'll give you more than one advert, so if that does happen, I'll just stop it. But I sort of...
Badly behaved hair with a mind of its own.
Oh, it's giving me adverts for hair. It knows I need a haircut.
Just what I needed.
Yeah.
Set the ball man in the corner.
Next on TV.
Okay, so I've stopped.
Tuesday the 20th of March.
Now because
8 p.m.
we're
Duration.
it was just gonna. I think it was gonna give us more adverts, but fundamentally, that is how you send something to your TV, and there are you can do that with all of the main channels: BBC, ITV. Channel 4, obviously, Channel 5, and some other services like YouTube or Netflix if you watch any of those. So for each device, I'm going to give you sort of pros and cons as to why that's just my opinion. So the pros of this is that it's incredibly cheap. This is actually the cheapest device I'm going to be showing you. You can get it for £35, although if you look around, you can often get it for 30. I got mine used for 25, so as I say, compared to other assistive technology devices that you might be buying, this isn't actually that expensive. And you can get them from pretty much anywhere. In terms of physical stores, Argos do them, Currys, Dixon's, John Lewis, and you can get them online directly from Google as well. So, pros that it's cheap. Another pro is that it doesn't have accessibility settings on it. So, without meaning to be too negative, they will in theory never break accessibility on Chromecast. I don't know how many people are used to sort of manufacturers making something accessible, then a couple months later it breaks in whatever way. Because this doesn't have accessibility features, that can't really happen. The cons are that really you need additional equipment to use this. So I showed you this on my iPhone. You don't have to use it on iPhones, you can use it on Android devices as well, but you will need a phone or a tablet or a computer in order to use this. So it's not something that you can buy for someone if you or your friend doesn't have a bit of equipment already. So who do I think would buy this? Well, I mean, in terms of what you can watch, I'd say it's suitable for pretty much anyone. But one of the things I really like about it is that if you have very specific accessibility requirements, let's say you can see a little bit, so you can roughly see what's happening on your TV, but you know, making out some of the writing is going to be a little bit hard for you because you're sitting on your sofa and your TV's a bit too far away. With this, if you've got a phone or a tablet, you can sit on your sofa, have the tablet as close to you as it needs to be, with your exact magnification and speech settings that you've always had, and then control it, and then control your TV just from your sofa without having to squint and figure out what it's saying. My mum uses one of these, and she really likes it because she doesn't have to learn anything new. She uses all of the apps that she's familiar with, except now, instead of the video showing up on her iPad, it shows up on the TV. And that's pretty much it for the Chromecast, really. A good all-round device, and as I say, it's the cheapest one I'm going to show you. So this is where I sort of ad-lib a little bit while I connect a different device. It's also another part where things go wrong. So for anyone who can't tell, as I say, I've got a TV in front of me and then I've got all the devices behind me. So we're now going to talk about the Fire TV from Amazon. And again, I've got all of these devices, ready to show you during breaks if people want. Now, some of you might have seen this or heard this being advertised. Amazon are really, really good at doing sort of large-scale ad campaigns to make you buy their stuff, really. So this one's a little bit different to the Chromecast because it talks. So I'm just going to press a few buttons on the remote to make sure it works. There we are. It should talk soon. Okay, so
3 of 7.
Okay, so it can be a little bit hard to make out, and I'll try and turn that up as I describe it. So this is the Fire TV from Amazon. Now, this doesn't really work in the way that normal TVs work, in the sense that you watch channels. The way that this works is you download apps. So let's say you wanted an app for BBC iPlayer, you download an app for that. If you wanted an app to watch YouTube, you download an app for that. So you essentially customize it depending on what you want to do. Now, the first thing that I need to mention is that, unfortunately, whilst this does include built-in speech and magnification, unfortunately, the majority of the apps aren't actually accessible. So that's something that you need to bear in mind when you decide whether you want to buy this or not. However, what I would say is that Amazon are doing a lot of accessibility work at the moment. So I would hope that this will get better over time. So we're going to do a few different things with this. I'm first of all going to show you some movies actually, because one of the nice things about this Fire TV and some other devices I'm going to show you is that it's very easy to watch films, pretty much any film you could ask for, on demand really. So I'm on my home page now, but I'm going to go over to movies, and again it might be a bit tricky to hear because of the speakers, but I'll try and narrate what I'm doing as I go. Okay, right, so I've selected movies, and
Disneyland Frozen.
and it's playing some movies to me, so I don't want it to do that just yet.
Recommended movies. Bad Moms. Prime button.
So, okay, right, Hal, let's listen to what it's going to say.
Use up and down to move between categories such as new.
So it's giving me some recommended movies that it thinks I might like.
5 stars from 5
So let's listen.
customers. IMDb rating 6.2 out of 10. 1 hour 40 minutes. 2016. Rated BBFC 15. Amy Mitchell puts her family first, second, and third. But her man-child husband, high-maintenance kids and idiot boss are taking a toll. When the alpha mums at her kids _school push her too far, Amy finally snaps. Good Amy becomes bad Amy really fast. Teaming up with 2 other misfit mums, Amy gets a jolt of freedom that shakes up her life and might even make her a better mum.
Okay, so for anyone who wasn't able to hear what happened there, it's giving me a list of movies that I like. This one's called Bad Mums. And it's read the description to me along with some movie ratings. I'm only going to show you one film, but there are literally tens of thousands of films that you can watch on this. So let's go for Bad Mums. Hopefully it's not going to be too bad. So I'm going to select that.
Bad Mums. Watch now with Prime. 1 of 4.
And
Use left and right to move between items.
and I'm going to choose Watch Now.
Playing Bad Mums.
We'll just... So, as you can tell, it's playing the movie, and obviously we're not going to watch the entire movie, so I'll stop that. I'll just turn the speech down a little bit, so I can talk without it interrupting me. The nice thing about some of these movies is that they have audio description. Now this one didn't, but what you can do is, as you're going through movies, and there are different ways you can browse it. I just chose a movie that it recommended for me, but you can say, I want to watch romance movies, I want to watch action movies, I want to watch comedy, and you can, if there's a specific title that you want, you can just search for it. You can also, as I say, you can get audio description, so as it's describing the movie to you, it will tell you whether it has audio description. Now, I'll be completely honest, not a huge number of films have audio description on this, but there are definitely some. So yeah, really easy to watch films. Now, one of the things that I will say is that, I don't know if anyone heard, but when it was reading it to me, it was saying Prime a lot. So it kept on saying watch with Prime, or recommended movies on Prime. Now, for anyone who isn't familiar with Prime, Prime is Amazon's subscription service. So it's £80 a year. You get quite a lot of things for that. You get next day delivery from Amazon. One that I like is you can get grocery delivery within 2 hours for £3.99. So if I need something urgently and my local shop doesn't have it, I can just get food items or similar ordered to my home. So that's good. But the other thing that you get is access to all of these movies and a lot of music as well. So this device is designed by Amazon, obviously, so they want you to watch their content. It is heavily geared towards people who have a Prime subscription. So that's something that you might want to bear in mind when you decide whether you want to buy it or not. I'm going to show you a couple more things of this. I'm going to show you an app that lets you watch live TV. Now, I did say that all of these devices don't let you watch TV in the traditional sense. However, and what I mean by that is you don't plug your aerial into them or anything like that. So this, when I show you live TV, it's going to be using the internet. Now, the main downside to watching live TV through the internet is that you don't get audio description. So that's something to bear in mind, of course. When you watch things on catch-up, so if you watch things after the fact, after they've been broadcast, then you can often get audio description, but not when they're live. So I'll just quickly show you what watching live TV is like on this. And hey. Oh, there we go.
2 of 7.
Okay.
Loading.
There we go. It's just got to sleep.
Just task Alexa. Recent bad mums. TV player.
Okay.
Watch it and catch up TV button.
So I'm going to go onto this app called TV Player.
4 items. Live TV.
So I'm going to go on to live TV and let's see what's on BBC One. Come on.
Saturday Kitchen Live. 10 o'clock to 11:30. Next. Classic Mary Berry.
Okay, so it's telling me that Saturday Kitchen's on BBC One. BBC Two is
Gordon Buchanan. Elephant Family and Me. 10 o'clock to 11
something
o'clock.
called
Thursday
Elephant
and
Family and
British
Me.
Sport
Have no idea what that is. Let's see what's on ITV.
James Martin Saturday morning. 9:30 to 11:20. Next. Who's doing the dishes?
Okay, so ITV's showing James Martin. I quite like James Martin. In fact, I'm going to his restaurant tomorrow. Actually, it's my grand's birthday. That's a coincidence for you. So let's play James Martin.
Login. 1 of 1.
Okay, so it's asked me to log in. The reason why is because some of these things you need an account for, and I hadn't set up my account when I set this device up today. But when you do need an account for live TV, it is actually free. So
37 items. Gordon Buchanan.
let's do
Saturday
BBC
Kitchen
One.
Live. 88 items. Saturday Kitchen Live. 10 o'clock to 11:30. Next. Classic Mary Berry. Media controls hidden. Retry.
It's not working. I'll just quickly
Saturday Kitchen Live. 10 o'clock to 11:30. Next. Retry. Saturday Kid. Gordon
try
Buchanan.
BBC Two.
Media controls hidden. Retry.
No, it's not happy. It's not happy at all. Okay, all right. So
2 of 7.
So what you'll have to do is, because I'm such an
Use left and
honest,
right to move
I'm
between
such an
items.
honest guy, you're just going to have to trust me that this works. And if anyone wants to know what it's like to watch live TV on the Amazon Fire, come and find me, and we will get it working for you over lunch. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you on the Fire is that this has a built-in virtual assistant called Alexa. Now, some of you, well, I'd imagine that there'll be some people who have heard Alexa here. You might not have a device, but you might have heard of the Amazon Echo and all the different things it can do. So let's just see if this will work now. So first of all, if anyone hasn't heard of Alexa, Alexa is an assistant that you control with your voice. So you can get it to do loads of different things. So let's see. Alexa, introduce yourself.
I'm Alexa and I'm designed around your voice. You can ask me to play music, answer questions, get the weather and sports scores, create to-do lists and much more.
Yeah, so you can do a lot of stuff. So let's see what it can do, or what she can do rather. Alexa, tell me an interesting fact.
The arrangement of 5 objects in the shape of the 5 on a die is called a quincunx.
Right, okay. So it gave me, for anyone who can hear that, it gave me an interesting, well, in inverted commas, interesting fact about dice. It can do a lot of other things as well. This isn't going to work because it doesn't know that I'm in Birmingham, it thinks I'm in Shrewsbury, but I can say things like, what's the weather like today? was thinking about it.
It's doing its blue flashing light.
Right, we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, so it can do things like.
An unexpected error has occurred.
That's all right. So this is when the internet fails us.
Use left and right to move between items.
So I'll try a couple more things briefly, because this is actually a really nice device when you look at the Alexa functionality. So one of the other things I wanted to show you is that it's actually a really nice way of getting accessible radio. So let's try this. Alexa, play Radio 4. It's not happy at all, is it? So what we'll do is I'm going to turn it off and on again, and while I do that, I'm going to explain some of the pros and cons of this device, and then we'll go back to it. So it's just rebooting now. So why I haven't sold it overly well, but when it does work, why would you want this device? Well, if you have a Prime subscription, this is a bit of a no-brainer for you. You get access to loads and loads of content, and this is a great way of using it. Of using access to that content. The other pro is that it has Alexa, so that hasn't worked today. But when you have a decent internet connection, it's really good at doing things like playing radio, and you can play music as well. Now, what I like is that if you attach a pair of speakers to your TV, as I have done here, you can use this as an accessible music system. So you can just ask it with your voice to play whatever song you want, pretty much. Some of these services will require subscription, but they're all incredibly affordable, and I can talk about that to people during lunch if people like. So what I like to do is I have this in my sitting room, and what's nice about the remote is that it's got an incredibly long range. So while I'm cleaning my flat, for example, I can walk around with the remote in my pocket, and I can just say, Alexa, play me some relaxing music. And I can just control the music from anywhere in my flat, which I really like. So really nice, accessible music system on a budget. The other pro is budget. There are two models of this Fire TV. There's one that's £80, and there's one that's £40. Now, basically, if you're not sure which one to buy, if you aren't concerned about really high quality video and picture quality, and you're not concerned about playing games, buy the one for £40. If you want really good video quality, it's 4K for anyone who cares, buy the one for £80. But in terms of accessibility, there's no difference whatsoever. In terms of cons, why would you not buy this? Well, the first thing is that this is a device, as I say, designed for people who watch stuff on Amazon, right? Amazon surface their content heavily on the device. They'll always be trying to get you to watch more of their stuff. So if you don't have a subscription to Amazon services, you might want to think twice about this, although there are other things that you can do. And I should point out that you can use Alexa and watch live TV without Amazon services. The only thing that I've shown you so far that requires a Prime subscription is all of the movies. The other con is that the accessibility of the apps, as I say, isn't great. Stuff like iPlayer and ITV and Channel 4 do exist on the Fire TV, but they don't work with speech. So why would you, why would I buy one of these? I would say, if you want Alexa on your TV, if you want a way of listening to radio or music accessibly, that's good. Or let's say you're someone who has a little bit of sight, you want to watch live TV, but your TV doesn't talk. You could use this TV player app to just help you a little bit, because, yeah, sure, perhaps it can't do everything, but if you just want a basic screen reader that will read out program times and descriptions to you, this will do that for you. So it's not perfect, but it will do certain things for you if you want. So as I say, the one I'd recommend for most people is probably the £40 one. You can get it from Amazon, obviously. There are places that will sell it as well, like Argos, Currys, and Dixon's. So it doesn't look like it's working. So what I'm going to do is talk a little bit. I'm going to try once more, but while it's rebooting, I'm going to try and I'll talk about the next device. And if it comes back up, I will show you Alexa. If it doesn't, then we'll move on. So the next device I would like to talk to you about is the Apple TV. Oh, there we go. See,
Voice view ready. Home. 2 of 7.
Quite loud, let's turn that down. See, it knew that I was talking
Use
about...
left and right to move between items.
It knew that I was talking about a competitor. That's why it worked. But will it actually work when I show the demo? So let's see. Alexa, play Radio 4.
BBC Radio 4 from TuneIn.
Oh, there we go. Should work. We'll just let it play a bit of Radio 4 just to prove that it will do. It's just loading.
Just because, for me, counters up
Ah, yeah. So
something that's part list, part article. Is it always a top 10?
So it's really interesting, actually.
I don't know what this program is, but it's playing. It's something on Radio 4.
Home. 2 of 7.
It looks like the internet's a little bit slow
Use
here.
left and right to
So
move between items.
I'll just quickly show you it playing some music just to illustrate what it can do. You don't even have to know what song you want. You can just ask it to play a specific type of music for you. So let's give this a go. Alexa, play me some party music.
Here's a playlist for party music. R&B party starters
Oh, no.
from Amazon Music.
Jason.
Oh dear. Right, so anyway,
Home. 2
it's
of
playing
7.
music. So obviously it didn't work too well the first time, but it is when it is stable and when it's when it's not in this situation, it does work really well. And I've got this device has Alexa built into it, but you can get an Amazon Echo, which is a standalone device. I think it's amazing. I've got one with me. I'm not going to show it now, but it will be in the dining room if you want to have a look. So, now that we've got that out of the way, let's move on to something that will work a little bit better. I'm going to show you, as I say, the Apple TV. The Apple TV is, as the name implies, a device that's made by Apple. So, first things first, you probably, if you've used an iPhone or an iPad before, or an Apple laptop, you probably already know how to use this because it runs exactly the same software that all of those do. So it's got built-in magnification and speech, and if you have a Braille display, you can connect a Braille display to it as well. You can also connect Bluetooth keyboards. So let's say you don't like, for whatever reason, typing on the Apple remote. You might find it to be a bit of a faff. That's okay, because you can just plug in a standard QWERTY keyboard and use it wirelessly. Now, the interesting thing about this, and I'm mentioning it without meaning to be too pessimistic, this used to be an amazing device, and it's still good, but I've found recently that some of the accessibility of the apps has sort of gone downhill a little bit, and the software that Apple have put on it seems to be a bit less accessible for me as well. However, having said this, this is my main device. I use this at home. For the majority of people, this is the one that I recommend, although there are some caveats to this. So, let's see what we have here.
Skymail. Recent late shift.
Okay,
Recent
so,
TV. Row 1. Column 1.
So this works in the same way that the Fire TV does, in as much as you download different apps to depending on what you want it to do. There are quite a few of them. I'm going to show you films again. Again, the nice thing with Apple is that it's very easy to watch lots of different films. But there are some things about the Films app on the Apple TV that I think are pretty cool. Now, the Apple TV has another assistant called Siri, which some of you might be familiar with if you have iPhones or similar. I'm going to use Siri to open all of these apps for me, just to speed things along a bit so I don't have to find them. So we can say things like, launch films.
Menu. Selected. Top films. Tab. 2 of 5.
Okay, so we're in the Films app, and again, for anyone who can't quite hear the speech, I'll try and describe what's happening. So I'm in the top film section, and it's going to give me some films that it thinks I'll like. It's probably going to get it wrong, but let's give it a go. So the first top film...
Battle of the Sexes. 2 of 10.
Battle of the Sexes. Let's go on to that one, and let's see what it tells me.
Battle of the Sexes. Battle of the Sexes. Preview. Button.
It'll read some more.
Genre. Comedy. Director. Valerie Ferris. Jonathan Dayton. Starring Emma Stone. Steve Carell. Andrea Riseborough. Sarah Silverman. Unrated. 14 plus. 2 hours 2 minutes. 2017. Closed captions available. The electrifying 1973 tennis match between world number 1 Billie Jean King, Emma Stone, and ex-champ and serial hustler Bobby Riggs, Steve Carell, was billed as the Battle of the Sexes and became the most watched televised sports event of all time. The match caught the zeitgeist and sparked a global conversation on gender equality, spurring on the feminist movement. Trapped in the media glare, King and Riggs were on opposite sides of a binary argument, but off-court each was fighting more personal and complex battles. With a supportive husband urging her to fight the establishment for equal pay, the fiercely private King was also struggling to come to terms with her own sexuality, while Riggs gambled his legacy and reputation in a bid to relive the glories of his past. Together, Billy and Bobby served up a cultural spectacle that resonated far beyond the tennis courts and animated the discussions between men and women in bedrooms and boardrooms around the world. The 26th of March, available to rent. Available to rent.
Okay.
Button.
So it read a very long description to me. Now, if you were really observant, you might have noticed that one of the first things it said was preview, which kind of implies that you might have to buy it. So let's move on. So
£9.99. Buy with iTunes Extras.
So
buy with iTunes Extras.
The difference with the Apple TV and the Fire TV is that, as I say, on the Fire TV you can get a subscription that includes all of this. On the Apple TV, you don't. It's an extra. You always have to buy it. So we can buy this one for £9.99, which means we can watch it for forever, in theory, or...
Wish list. £9.
Or, on some of them, we can only buy this one, unfortunately, but we can...
Preview gives you...
So we can preview, but what I was going to say is that for some of them, you can rent them. So let's say you only want to watch it once. Instead of paying £9.99, you can usually rent it for £4.50. So I'll just preview this quickly, just to demo that you can do this.
In progress.
Internet seems fun here.
It's buffering.
Yeah, it's buffering. So
there we go.
Anyone else like to share? How about you in the back with the glasses, sir?
My name's Bobby and I am an addict. You know, you folks aren't here because you're gamblers. You are here.
So I have absolutely no idea about this film. I've never watched it before, so the trailer's probably going to be quite boring. So let's stop that. Now, I just want to show you something that I think is really interesting about this screen. If we keep on going down,
viewers also watched.
So we go on viewers also watched. That's giving me recommendations about things that other people have watched.
Poster.
It's giving me some photos.
Ratings
That's successful. It's giving me ratings.
Cast and crew. Steve Carell, actor.
So it's giving me the cast and crew here, so I can go through who it stars.
Andrea Riseborough. Sarah Silverman.
Let's go to Sarah Silverman. If I select Sarah Silverman, what it's going to do...
Wreck-It Ralph. 1 of 20.
What it's doing is it's showing me all the other films that Sarah Silverman has starred in now. So if there's a particular actor or actress that you like, it's actually really easy to just to figure out all of the films that they're in. So again, if you noticed, if anyone could hear it, as it was reading the description, or just before the description, it said closed captions available. So that essentially means it has subtitles, but you can get other ones with audio description. So when you're deciding whether you want to buy a film or not, it is possible to tell whether it has audio description or not, which obviously for some of us that's really important. Again, not every film has audio description, and Apple are adding some over time, let's say, but yes, there's a bit of a selection. but not a huge amount. So moving swiftly on, how are we doing for time, anyone?
It's nearly 5 to 11.
Oh no! Okay, oh right, okay. So we've got a bit of time. So I'll show you a couple of different apps. We'll keep on battling on with the internet. I wanted to show you BBC iPlayer quickly because that's a really good way of watching audio described content from the BBC. So let's get Siri to open BBC iPlayer. Launch BBC iPlayer.
TV. Loading. Menu. Selected.
Okay, so I'm on BBC iPlayer. BBC iPlayer lets us do a few different things. We can watch catch-up programmes, so if we've missed something on any of the BBC channels, we can watch it at our leisure. It also lets us watch live TV as well. Although I've already shown you, I've already tried to show you live TV on the Fire. It's pretty much the same on the Apple TV, although the nice thing about live TV on the Apple TV from the BBC is that you can restart a programme. So let's say that a programme starts at, 8 PM, but you're busy, you know, you're finishing your tea or you're putting your child to bed, and so you don't get to sit down in front of the TV until 10 past. Well, using the Apple TV, you can live restart programs, so you can say, okay, I want to watch MasterChef, it started at 8 o'clock, it's 10 past 8, don't show me the program from where it is now, show me it from the beginning, so you can watch it pretty much at your leisure. I won't show you that now, because live TV is a little bit more taxing on the internet, but we'll do a catch-up program because those are quite nice with audio description. I'll show you how that works. So we're on the home page now. It's going to show me a list of suggested programs. So I'm going to go through them and I'll pick one.
Episode 1. This country. Series 2.
This country, no.
Troy. Fall of a City.
Troy, Fall of a City, no. I'm trying to find one that I know has audio description.
Below the Surface. Series 1.
Below the Surface.
5 of 6.
Let's see what this is. So let's see what it gives us for this one.
Below the Surface. Play. Button.
I think Troy had it.
Series 1. Episode 1. Danish thriller series. In Copenhagen, an underground train judders to a halt and masked men take 15 passengers hostage.
Oh no, this is terrible.
Heads are keen to lead the rescue effort. Contains some strong language and some violence.
Okay.
BBC for vertical line 44.
So we won't do that one. So Jeremy said that Troy had audio description. So let's go to Troy.
Below the surface, something went wrong.
Something went wrong.
Below the surface, Troy. Fall of
so let's go to Troy.
Troy.
Pretty sure it did.
Troy. Fall of a City. Play. Button.
So it's going to,
Series 1.
for anyone who didn't hear it before, what it's doing is it's reading me the description, it's telling me when it was broadcast, it's telling me how long it is, you know, the duration of the programme, and it's telling me how long I've got left to watch it, because on catch-up for programmes, you do have, it's usually only 30 days to catch up on it. So if I select what's currently highlighted, it will play it normally, but if I swipe right, it's letting me, you can't hear that, it's a bit quiet, but
Button.
So it's letting me play audio described. So what I do, you know, if I ever want to watch a programme, I find it on iPlayer, I go onto the screen that gives me the information for it, and then I know that if I can move right, it will give me that play audio described button, and I can do that, and might take some time, but there we are, and it's...
Over water by misty mountains. In fading light are horses ridden across a windswept terrain.
Oh, we finally got something with audio description.
Amy Peon Edwards, Johnny Harris. Hooves pounding a dirt road towards a hilltop city with high fortified walls.
Okay, so yeah, good recommendation for Troy there. That's good. Finally found one that had audio description that didn't contain violence, which is always good. Yeah. Oh, does it? We got. I heard horses, so at least there wasn't gunshots or anything. So that's BBC iPlayer. There are loads of apps on the Apple TV. There's one for ITV, one for Channel 5, but I'm going to show you a couple of different ones now, and I'm going to show you Netflix. So a lot of you probably will have heard of Netflix, but perhaps we're not all completely familiar of what it is. You know, what can it do? So Netflix is a service. It's fairly well priced. It's £5.99 a month, and it lets you watch essentially large quantities of movies and TV programs. They get films from other film studios and TV programs from other broadcasters, but excuse me, they've increasingly started making their own. I'm going to show you Netflix because, well, the reason that I'm showing you it is because it gives you a lot of audio described content. So if we go on to Netflix, launch Netflix. We're gonna get Netflix.
Thinking about it.
Come on. Come on, you can do it. This is the last thing I wanted to show. Let's give it another go. Let's try.
Now there we go, it's loaded.
Oh, okay. So there we go. So it's loaded Netflix, and the nice thing about Netflix is that you can set up different accounts on it. So let's say that it's £5.99 a month to start off with, but you're not quite sure whether you're going to be using it enough. But let's say that someone in your family will be, so you can. Oh, excellent! Great, thanks a lot. There we go. There, I love this. I get PAs giving me drinks. Or
it's actually vodka, so don't let anyone.
Oh, great. Even better. It's a good thing to share with your family, because let's say you've got a child who wants to watch Peppa Pig, but you're interested in documentaries. You don't want those to get mixed up. So it's asking me who's watching it. I'm going to select Ben because, funnily enough, that's who I am. And it's loading. I'm going to go on to so on this screen it's giving me a lot of information. It's telling me what's new. It's telling me what's popular. And it's giving me the option to watch things that I've watched previously. So let's say you're watching a film and it's a long film, it's 2 hours long or something, and you get a phone call or you have to stop for dinner. It remembers where you are, so you can just go back to it and watch it without having to go back to the start. So I'm going to choose.
Somebody watching Peppa Pig.
It looks like it, yeah. Guilty pleasure. So I'm going to go into categories, and I'm going to go to the audio described category. I'll not speak through these categories, so you can get an idea of what there is.
1 of 20.
TV programs. So let's go.
Netflix originals. Button. 2 of 20. Action and adventure. Button. Anime. Button. British films. Button. Children and family films. Comedies. Button. Critically acclaimed films. Documentaries. Dramas. Button. Horror films. International films. Music and musicals. New releases. Recently added. Romantic films. Sci-fi and fantasy. Stand-up comedy. Thrillers. Button. Audio description in English.
Yeah, so we finally got the audio description category. That's the bottom one. They put it at the bottom. Great. So essentially, for anyone who couldn't hear all of those categories, there is a wide variety of categories of stuff available on this. So there's quite a bit of audio described content actually. So I'm just going to pick one, and I'm just going to play it briefly so that you can tell that audio description does actually work.
The Crown. 571.
Okay, right. I'm going to play something about The Crown.
99% match. 2017. 15. 2 seasons. Duty. Family. Power. A young woman rises to rule an empire amid the challenges of the modern age.
Okay, so it's giving me a description of it, so I can tell roughly whether I want to watch it or not. Let's go.
Play season 1. Episode 1. Button.
So it's got multiple episodes, so I'm going to play episode 1.
Letters pop out from a white background, then turn red. Netflix. A Netflix original series.
So this is audio description.
A caption appears. Buckingham Palace, 1947. Through a partly open door in the cold light of morning, a man is seen bending over a wash basin.
Okay, so yeah, great. I'll stop that. I'll stop that there. It didn't sound like he was overly well. So for anyone who couldn't quite make out what was happening, it was narrating what was happening in the scene. So wide variety of audio described content on Netflix, and as I say, even if you're not quite sure whether you'll use it all yourself, it's nice to just club together with friends. I've clubbed together with some members of my family to get that subscription. The other last thing I'll show you is I'm going to show you the YouTube app. Now, the reason that I'm mentioning this is because this is unfortunately an example of an app that used to be quite good, but now it's not so good. And I don't want this to end on a downer, but as I say, I think it's probably wise that you know that unfortunately these things can sometimes change. It is still usable, but this app will have accessibility problems. So I'm just going to give you a really quick overview of how you can use it, but it's slightly problematic. So let's go. And this is the last thing as well. I know I'm taking up a bit of time. So really quickly, launch YouTube. Okay. We'll go to questions after this. Sorry. The other thing is that when this loads, if it loads, you'll be seeing all of the videos that I like watching. I watch videos about motherboard repair, so this is going to be really boring for most people. So let's search. So I'm going to search, and the nice thing about this is that if you don't like typing, as I say, you can use a proper keyboard or a braille display, or you can just use your voice. So let's search for Winter Olympics.
Inserted Winter Olympics.
So it's searching for Winter Olympics.
Golden goal. Bobsleigh drama and funny moments. Day 16. Winter Olympics. BBC Sport 8:15. 24,471 views.
So it's showing me Sport. It's showing me a video on Olympics. I'm showing you YouTube because it's what everyone watches videos on these days. So if you've never seen it before, you've never used it, you're going to know people that do use it. So you'll hopefully be just a tad more informed if anyone ever talks about it. At least you know what it is now if you didn't before. You know, it's a website/app that lets you watch videos. So we'll just get it to play something from the Winter Olympics. And it's actually a really inaccessible video because it's literally just people playing sports, but there's no commentary.
Day 16.
Oh, day 16. There we go. We're getting live audio description here.
Ice hockey, I believe.
It's ice hockey, yeah, cool. So yeah, that is YouTube. There are, as I say, lots of apps for the Apple TV, and even though the accessibility has got a little bit worse in my opinion, they are predominantly all accessible. The other nice thing about the Apple TV is that, as a bit of a side note, it's got quite a few games on it. So if you, the games themselves aren't accessible if you don't have any usable vision. But if you do have usable vision, you might be able to play some games on it. Or if not, if you have someone come around who can see, it's nice to sort of give them a few games they can play if they're getting bored and they don't want to talk to you for whatever reason. You know, happens a lot.
The Fire TVs have a few as well.
I won't demo it now, but you can do the same sort of thing with music on the Apple TV as you can with the Fire. The same thing applies where you can control it with your voice. You can have the remote in your pocket because it's got a very long range, and you can walk around your home just controlling the music if you've got a set of powerful speakers connected to it. So really quickly, pros and cons. Pro, this is the best. Really, it's not great. There are problems with it. However, if you think you're going to be watching a lot of stuff like this, this is probably the one to get. At least it is for me. I really like it. I would like there to be more options available, but for now, I think this is the best we've got. The other pro is that if you already use an Apple device, like an iPhone or an iPad or an Apple computer, as I said before, you already know how to use this because it's using VoiceOver, and for anyone who doesn't know, VoiceOver is controlled by a set of gestures, so you move your finger depending on what you want to do, and the gestures for this are exactly the same as the ones on the iPhone and the iPad. As I say, it also works with Braille displays as well. Cons, the main con really is that, just like everything else, Apple is incredibly expensive compared to all the other ones. There are a few different models. The only difference is how much space they have, but you don't really need an overly high capacity model. The model that I use costs about £170, so it is expensive, and it's actually the cheapest model that they do, but you don't really need anything better. So yeah, £170, by far the most expensive. However, as I say, why would you buy it? I would say this is for someone who is sort of fairly sure that they're going to enjoy doing this stuff. £170 for someone who isn't, totally sold on the idea of watching these, streaming services and stuff like that. If you want to, then, be my guest, but I would say only do this if you, A, if you can afford it, and B, if you're sure that this is going to be something that you're into. So, that's all I have to show for you during the talk. I'm really sorry we had some technical difficulties, but let's be honest, it wouldn't be a talk if something didn't go wrong. I've got all of these devices plus 2 more to show you in the dining room. I've got a standalone Amazon Echo, which, as I say, I highly recommend. Lovely, lovely device. I've also got a talking Freeview box. These are a little bit hard to find now because they don't make them anymore, but you do sometimes see them turn up online. So I've brought it here just so that people can have a play, so that if they do ever see one, they'll know whether they want it or not. But I'm not going to show it here, A, because it takes a bit of setup, and B, because we're sort of pushing short on time. So that's all I have, but I think we have some questions, do we? I don't know how we want to do this. While people are asking questions.
Did you have a question?
So I've got a Fire TV stick, and I've got a Netflix subscription, but the Netflix app doesn't seem to be accessible. Is that something wrong line, or is it like a small stuff?
So it's interesting. So the Netflix app works, but you can't sign in without sighted assistance. It's really, really annoying. Yeah.
But it does on the phone, but not on the.
Yeah, it works on the phone, but not on the Fire TV stick. So if you want to watch Netflix on your Fire TV stick, you can do it, but you're going to have to get someone to sign you in initially, which is annoying, but that's just the way it is, unfortunately.
Yes,
with the Amazon Fire TV, they had YouTube on there, as you demonstrated, but Google had a dispute with Amazon, and they pulled YouTube from Amazon devices. Does that include the Fire TV?
All right. Okay. So when I showed
San Francisco.
So for anyone, I will answer the question, but for anyone who doesn't know what's just happened, the Apple TV has a screensaver. So what it's doing now is it's for anyone who can see it's showing them videos of San Francisco, and it shows you a different city every time. And apparently they look quite nice. So when I showed YouTube, I showed it on the Apple TV, and you're right, there is a dispute going on with Amazon and Google. So there are ways you can watch YouTube on the Fire TV stick. You can download a web browser, so you can just go to the YouTube website. But yeah, you're right, there did used to be a dedicated YouTube app. But now you have to go via a web browser. So you can do it, it's just slightly more inconvenient.
Gentleman at the back.
With all the options that you've shown and the audio description, is there any way that if somebody who's not wanting to hear the audio descriptions, say a visually impaired person can have it separate with headphones or whatever, so that the other person doesn't hear the audio descriptions?
Unfortunately not. Although I do know there's work going on about this at the moment. There's a new, I won't get too technical, but there's a new standard coming out for sort of smarter TVs where you can say, you know, if I have audio description, send this to headphones, but play the main audio description track on, play the main audio track on the TV. But that's a few years away. I don't believe you can do that with anything at the moment, unfortunately.
Is that Jen? Sorry, Megan. Dave, lady on the other side. Sorry. Yeah, what's your question?
I'll stand up because it's easier for me to project my voice if I stand. Yes, I would like to go back to the first two devices that you demonstrated, which was the
Chromecast and the
Amazon Fire. And I've just got myself a Google Home Mini.
Okay.
I've also got, I've had for some time now, the Alexa devices, both the Mini, the Echo Dot, and the main one, the Alexa speaker. I understand that also, I'm trying to compare the Google Home Mini with Alexa because I want to see how things are developing. And the Google Home Mini doesn't have as many skills as the Alexa, but it's developing all the time because it started on its development course a bit later than the Alexa. But I understand with both of them, so I'm led to believe, if you link them up with the two linking devices such as the Chromecast and the Amazon Fire Stick in separate cases, that they both will, you can control it entirely by your voice instead of having to, once they've been linked together, you don't have to use the remote at all. You could just ask, say, your Chromecast to play BBC One TV, and it will do so, rather than having to find that button on your remote control.
Yeah, so that's a good point actually. So so you're right. So if you have, as you were saying, if you have an Amazon Echo with an Amazon Fire Stick and Google can do it as well, you can link them together so you don't have to use the remote. The only thing I've noticed, I don't have a Google Home Mini, but I think I've tried it on that as well. But the only thing I've noticed on the Fire TV stick, well, and the Amazon Fire TV, is that it won't let you open everything, so it only seems to work with Amazon content. So you can say, Alexa, play Back to the Future, for example, and it will play that for you completely hands-free without having to use the remote, and you can get it to stop and start and rewind and fast forward. I believe you can also do that with radio stations, but in terms of opening things from other providers, I think there's still a bit of work needed to go there. But yeah, that's a good point. So for people who don't enjoy using remotes, that is one option that you can consider, but just be mindful of its limitations. But no, good.
Ben, can we draw it to a close out, if that's okay? If anybody has any other questions for Ben after, can you ask him in the dining room? Because we are running a little bit over at the moment.
Sorry.
No, it's fine, not a problem.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Right, cheers.